Afternoon Talk on SAFM.
So it's Monday afternoon. The debates continue, doesn't it? Tell you what, I've been chatting to many people in the last couple of weeks. And besides talking about the Olympic Games, naturally, the one thing that people have been asking me, so just chatting, has been like, so where is Thabo Mbeki right now, the president, former president? Now, we know where he is physically, but the point is in what space is he in? And that's the basis, really, of the big question at 2, which is what role, or rather, should former President Thabo Mbeki play a role in this country right now? And if your answer to that is yes, then the question is what role should he play? So should he play a role? And if so, then what role? I'll take your calls right away. So I want to get your thoughts on this one. 0891 104 207. 0891 104 207. I'm sure you have your opinion about this one and strong views either way. First time callers always welcome, regulars welcome, first time listeners welcome, as well as those who regularly listen. And I certainly appreciate you being a part of the show. That goes on for the first half an hour. Then after 2:30 today we do the regular Country Watch, and today it's the turn of Senegal. So how much do you know about Senegal? Well, we're going to find out anyway as we put that country in the Country Watch. And then after 3 o'clock today, we chat to Margaret Hirsch. Now, if nothing else, the name should ring a bell. Hirsch, as in Hirsch's Home Store. She's the founder, the CEO of Hirsch's Home Store. So I can tell you now, not maybe, her story will inspire you, because often, I think as a theme, we certainly try desperately to try and get people to understand that they can be entrepreneurial. So if you want to be entrepreneurial and you want to understand how somebody has really made it from nothing in a family business that is beginning now to make a huge impact in this country, then you probably want to listen to her. Not probably, you should be listening to her, as I put her, Margaret Hirsch of Hirsch's Home Stores, in the spotlight. Let's start, however, with the issue of former President Thabo Mbeki. So, your thoughts on this one? What role, well, should he play any role in this country? Politically, that is, of course. And if the answer to that is yes, then what role should he play? I'm really interested to get your answers. We know that he spent lots of time in the recent years playing some sort of a diplomatic negotiating role on the African continent. And that may well be, for many people, where he should be. But do you think he should have a role in this country? So, besides calling in, I'll also pick out SMSs, 34701. Well, maybe I'll tell you what, you can do a quick yes-no on the SMSs as well. So, quick one, yes, no, via SMS, and then put on, if the answer is yes, what role he should play. The SMSs will cost you 2 rands. And if you are tweeting, well, just follow me, Ashraf Garda1, then use the hashtag Afternoon Talk as well, which allows me just to pick up exactly what you are going to say. And there are some people saying that via Facebook, no ways he should not play any role in this country. There's diversity of opinions. Some saying good riddance, others saying, well, yes, he should come back, and he should come back as the president. Whether is that allowed, by the way? I think you can't serve 2 terms as the president, but can you serve 1 term, then give it a miss and come back? Not that I'm suggesting that is going to be the place at all. Some of the comments we've had via Facebook, another one, Kolani, saying, yes, he inspires thinking, questioning and scholarship. In South Africa, we tend to believe that there are wrong questions that will take us into a deep, dark hole. Another one saying the second transition requires sophisticated leadership, therefore Mbeki's leadership style is more relevant. Just some of the other comments I'll also look at as well. So there you are, the role of former President Thabo Mbeki. Do you think he has a role in this country? And if the answer to that is yes, what role should he play? We should be chatting, and we'll connect with him in just a second, with Sipho Shlangwane, who's a senior political writer at the Daily Maverick, who'll talk us through his views on this one. So we'll welcome his thoughts in just a second. But I'll get your calls before I speak to Sipho. We'll do that right after this.
Afternoon Talk on SAFM.
So I'll take your calls. Let's start with Bekisha. Before I get to that, let me just remind you, we're talking about former President Thabo Mbeki. Should he play a role in this country? And if the answer to that is yes, then what role should he play? I'll also look at the SMSs, because we can do a quick vote line. Let's see where the percentages lie. Yes, if you think he needs to play a role. No, if you think he doesn't. 34701. That will cost you 2 rands. Bekisha in Cape Town, let's get your view. Hello.
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 Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
Thank you, sir. First answer is yes. I think we all know that Thabo Mbeki is one of the intellects that we have here in South Africa and Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So, we know that, during his tenure, he had started, that concept of African Renaissance, that, which says we have to try and mobilize our thinking around our resources. What I'm trying to say here is that we need mostly here at home. There are a lot of things, a lot of problems. He has already mentioned, I think 3-4 months ago, when he talked about how much do we lose in terms of our, resources and money, losing to people who are trying to abuse the system.
Mm-hmm.
I am saying, finally, we need him because an intellect, he has got, experience in a number of things. Of seeing what he's doing in the whole Africa in general. We need him here at home. Thank you very much.
But why? Before I let you go, you say
yes.
We need him. Just keep in mind, he, I think, has given no indication of being a part of South African politics anyway, right? But you think that the need, would you still say we need him, considering that if he plays any role, not necessarily within the ANC, but just within South African politics at some level, do you think in the light of what happened to him in the past being recalled, that his return in any way could actually well be divisive?
No, I think I don't think he has to actually, take that, the problem that he experienced before, because I think even himself, the commitment that he had in mind when he even joined the ANC, it was to work for the people. So he should not personalize what happened before. And I think perhaps I must say as well, his colleagues, the present government, is not supposed to actually, remove him from the activities of the very ANC, because he's an intellect. He has got experience. He has got a lot. The ANC itself has a lot to benefit from.
Okay,
even if he doesn't act, actively in terms of politics, but a lot of things which he is supposed actually to contribute in terms of growing the country, so that it grows,
Okay, Bikitsha, thanks for that one there. Let's see if others agree with you or disagree, in fact, at whether there is a role for former President Thabo Mbeki in this country politically. It's an active role to play. And if so, what role do you think it should be? Now, there's some interesting tweets. ZR Rabotata saying, I think the ANC needs a diplomat like him now. I think he can be able to mediate in all wings of ANC youth, the military, etc. So certainly somebody believes he has a role. And there's some other comments from GN Flash. I'll read that in just a second. There's one or two saying absolutely not. I'll read that. Also want your SMSs because we can do a quick vote line on this one here. Sandile in Umtata, hi.
Hello,
hi, Sandile. Yes, thanks for calling.
From the outset, I would say we do need a person like Thabo Mbeki in the country right now. One, I would like to address what you just raised. Thabo Mbeki was never recalled by South Africans.
Absolutely.
He was recalled by faction within the African National Congress. Mm-hmm. We're talking here people that were electing in Polokwane who were less than 4,000. And we all know that now members of the ANC are not even paying the 12 rands for themselves to become members at branches. You have somebody who goes around collecting forms, and they're collecting the 12 rands, and they are renting a mob simply because they are unemployed and unemployable, and they want some political deployment. Now, why we need Thabo Mbeki? Right now, if you look, we have a person like Blade Nzimande swearing at FW de Klerk. Mm-hmm. He is becoming a Malema version 2, and there is nobody who's going to emerge to stop the likes of Blade Nzimande. It is not doing country any justice, even if you were to follow the statements that he is making. It is not going to do anybody justice for us to stand across the fence and shout at each other. Number two, the challenges the country faces in governance require somebody of a good caliber. It has not happened before that you've had decisions taken by the president decided against in parliament. We've had the likes of the National Prosecuting Commissioner being fired by a court order. It is becoming problematic.
So, just to interject you there, Paul, you see a role for him where South Africa will look to him as a statesman, as opposed to the ANC, of course.
Yes, I see a role where he can spend some time educating Africans politically, educating South Africans in general politically. trying to shed some light on what direction we need to pursue in order for South Africa to emerge as a respectable place in the family of nations.
Okay.
Right now, including academically in education, we're ranked somewhere 130-something in the world. I mean, it's ridiculous. We've got the resources, we've got the skills, we've got the will. But there's so much chaos politically that it spreads to the society in general.
Okay, Sandile, thanks for that.
Yes.
Thanks for that call. Let's leave it at that. Interesting one there again. So really interesting views. Anybody believes there's absolutely no place for former President Thabo Mbeki in active public life, not necessarily within the ANC, just as a South African who can contribute. Anybody believes he has absolutely no role, I'd like to know. Just some of the comments I'll get to Sipho Shlangwani as well in a second. Yes, he should come back and advise the current administration how to run the country. That comes from, I think it's Risco in Cape Town. Mbeki could be a future UN Secretary General, so let's not mess that up. The present ANC will never let him back. But I'm not saying that the ANC may. Well, that could be another role for him. Another one saying, yes, he has morals. He must be the next president. Comes from Michael in Howick. Yes, for one, he has no children who will inherit our country. Interesting one. What does that mean? Dictatorship, maybe? Starting a monarchy of sorts? I don't know. I'll get to the other callers. Janus, Alex, as well as Solly. Just bear with me. Sipho Shlangwani now is with us, who's a senior political writer at the Daily Maverick online newspaper, I can call you that. Hi, Sipho. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ashraf.
Yeah, thanks for your time. What are your thoughts? We're asking the question, should former President Thabo Mbeki play a role in South Africa? And if so, what?
Yes, I think there's one very good reason why we should accommodate him in some way. There's the fact that South Africa as it stands now, is a very young country. And there's no denying the fact that Thabo Mbeki got very many things right while he was in government. And the way that the ANC cast him out means that we've lost all that institutional memory. And he's been helpful, and it would actually be better for all of us, for us to still retain some of that intellectual capacity. So I think that, I don't know how exactly he should serve or he ought to serve, but I think we are slightly worse off, and so is the ANC, for the fact that he's been cast out in the way that he has.
All right. So then, I mean, if there's a space for him, then exactly where? See, the point is, it needs to be somewhere where he's seen as someone who will take a country forward, isn't it? And I use the word statesman.
Yes. I think the main thing should be that there must be some way for him to be able to pass on lessons that he's learned as the first citizen, and the lessons that the things that he did right in governance. There are very many things he did wrong, but there are things he did right as well. And we just unfortunately cannot afford to lose that institutional memory, because we are a young country. And if we keep doing this to every single president, we'll keep reinventing the wheel over and over again, and that's just not going to take us forward.
Generally, do we have a tradition where former presidents, and I'm talking about, of course, in the democratic South Africa, we've only had three and one caretaker. Outside of that, even before, have we had a tradition where former presidents or prime ministers, in fact, do contribute so we don't lose their intellectual capital?
Well, for obvious reasons, I wouldn't really like to look at the way that the old regime ran things. Of course. But I think that the way that Nelson Mandela, was positioned in the early years, especially of the Thabo Mbeki presidency, and also in the way in which key cabinet members of the Nelson Mandela era were kept on, and there was a sense that the ANC was building capacity as a ruling party, and the way that things happened at Polokwane, I don't think anyone was thinking about that, and I think that we are seeing some of the damage now. We are seeing cabinet ministers and top administrators in positions where they seem to have absolutely no idea how to do the most basic things in their job.
Which sort of gets us thinking.
If we keep doing this, if we keep disregarding institutional memory, we'll keep arriving at this place over and over again, complaining about incompetence, complaining about things not getting done.
Okay, because it certainly gets people thinking that if we are going to talk about any role, not that we're suggesting, or I'm suggesting that he has indicated that he wants to play a role. If anything, I think he said To the contrary, it doesn't mean we can't talk about it.
Yeah.
But the role has to be sort of along the lines of nation building, I would think. Let's get to the callers. Then we'll go back to Sipho Slangwane. We're asking that question, is there a role, or should former President Thabo Mbeki play any role in public life in this country? And if the answer is yes, then what? Keeping in mind that he spent lots of time recently on the African continent, outside of South Africa, that he's spending time playing a hugely important mediation role. Sudan, obviously, is the most obvious one. But I want to get your views on this one. I'll get to the other callers, Alex, Solly, as well as Sibusiso in just a second. Janus in Cape Town, hi.
Hi to you. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you.
I definitely say no. There is no place for President Mbeki. From the beginning of his political career, in my opinion, he deliberately destroyed our people, our economy. I would like to start from the beginning when he came to South Africa from England, and then he took a part in negotiation at the beginning of our new democracy.
Yeah.
We had to remember that he was in the group of sort of economical advisors, where Mr. Mandela was dealing with the political issues. He was as economical advisor, and every time when there was some changes or some adoptions, he was running to Mr. Oppenheimer for the approval of this. So
how do you know that?
Sorry?
Janus, I mean, you know that for a fact. I mean,
Yes,
you've seen him.
it is in the book. I can give you the title. I'm not trying to to lie or something say which I don't know. It was written in the book. It's a fact.
All right.
And lately, his actions proved to us that he is not capable of being a president of our country and running anything. I mean, even we know about his...
Janus, I'm going to let you go only because your line is becoming progressively worse. I'm not too sure why, but I think we got the gist of Janus's comments, effectively saying no go for him. Right, Solly in Joburg, hi.
Hi, Ashraf, how are you?
I'm very good. Good to hear from you, Solly.
Yes, mine is a short one. My answer is yes. I wish that he could come back, especially when he speaks. That man, whenever I do something, I stop it to listen to him. And I feel that there is a gap in our country to have him comment on any other thing that is affecting
So if the answer is yes, where's the gap? Where does it fit in without sort of upsetting the apple cart?
Personally, Ashraf, I like to listen when the intellectuals are talking, like people like Dr. Dr. Figen and so on, when they are talking, and then they make me feel good. And then also Mbeki is one of the people that I feel good when they are talking, because he's one of the people that I think he's walking the talk.
Indeed. I have to tell you that's...
Somebody who gets written the speech.
Interesting one.
Speech, but it doesn't work.
Interesting one. Thanks for that, Solly. Well, I'll tell you what, you can debate about other things that former President Thabo Mbeki said or did not say or did not do, but the I am an African speech, now that does make you feel good, doesn't it? Alex in Joburg, hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very good, Alex.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Firstly, I want to state that no single individual in South Africa possesses all the capacity that as a collective people we need in order to deal with our challenges, all right? That's the first thing. And then secondly, to discuss whether or not Thabo Mbeki has to play a particular role in South Africa, we need to understand first and foremost why Thabo Mbeki was removed from the presidency of the ANC in Polokwane, and later on in 2008, why was he recalled as the president of the republic? And in doing so, we must bear in mind that no single individual has ever barred President Thabo Mbeki to be involved in any particular way since he was not voted president in Polokwane and since he was recalled.
Alex, right? I'm going to push you because time is not with us here. I mean, quick question, is there a role for him or not?
Look, there is a role for everyone in South Africa who will contribute in advancing our development agenda.
Okay.
And then just lastly, I just want to respond to one caller who said that we must remember that Thabo Mbeki was not recalled by South Africans, but was recalled by a faction within the ANC. That caller, actually conversely must recognize, likewise, that Thabo Mbeki was never elected by South Africans, both as the president of the ANC as well as the president of the Republic.
Indeed,
Thabo
well, that's the way
was made president as a candidate of the ANC by the very few people who gather in congresses as well
Indeed.
as in list conferences.
All right.
Who make
Alex, we got that.
ANC.
That's how democracy works. We certainly got that. Whether you agree with that system or not is another question completely. I'll take maybe just one more call, then I'll take the other calls as well, of course. Just make it short and sharp so we can get through as many as possible. Let me just take one more for now, then I'll get Sipho Sangwani to respond. Siso in Maritzburg, hi.
Yes, Ashraf, how are you, bud?
I'm very good. Thanks for contributing.
I'm good, bud. Firstly, my personal opinion, but we must take off the bitterness of what happened with the ANC when former president was recalled, and then we look at the qualities that he has. One, with my personal view now, we shouldn't. There shouldn't even have been a fire or that conflict before he was recalled, because former president is more. To me, he looks like he's more interested on the foreign affairs, of which we need that very well, because he put South Africa in the global what you call. But he did expose South Africa in a very good way. So we still need his intellectual. We need him very well. It's just that we ANC or the people of South Africa, we need to remove this bitterness.
Okay, but I think your point is right, that at some stage bitterness has got to be sort of kept aside. It happens with many other people as well. Sibo, thanks for that. I mean, that's certainly what we saw around the time of negotiations, isn't it? If it is all about bitterness, then certainly people like former President Nelson Mandela and former President Thabo Mbeki and everybody else on the one side would not have dared even sit with the people on the opposite side of that table. We know exactly where that took us. Some other comments, Sifiso Zulu saying, Mbeki is a real negotiator. He always solves any problems. That comes on from Twitter. And then BB Choiko, I think he's saying, says, after the Zuma regime, Thabo Mbeki, actually says after the Zuma regime, Thabo Mbeki will be active. Sia saying no, the current government is made up of tribalists who concern themselves about their stomachs. Mbeki doesn't deserve something better. Rather, Mbeki deserves something better than this. And there's a 4-letter word. I'll leave it up to you to work that one out. Sipho Sangwani, I mean, the question really is, does the South Africa need him? As opposed to almost saying, is there a place for him? Do we have the space for him and a need for him to contribute?
Yes, absolutely. I always say to myself that my politics are not about what I hate, which is unfortunate. A lot of people, their politics are about what I hate. My politics are about what is possible and what can be done. And for me, Thabo Mbeki has still got, for all his faults, and I'm the first person to point them out, but for all his faults, the work that he's doing for the African Union right now shows that an immense, he's still got a lot to give. And I think that the way that he has been cast out, or the way that he's been made to feel unwelcome, because no one's actually, it's true that no one has actually said he's not allowed, but he's been made to feel unwelcome. I think it's unfortunate. I think that especially in intra-African relations, and in advancing, the SADC goals, in advancing South Africa's stature on the continent, I think that he could still be one of our foremost diplomats and and he could be very good in that role. I genuinely think that Thabo Mbeki, in that particular way, could still contribute immensely.
Do you have any idea, and I mean, I'm speculating, do you have any idea how he thinks about this himself? Because, besides sort of attending, and I've attended his memorial lectures, and they've been superb in bringing people together and getting great, people from either this country or outside. And besides the negotiations, we haven't seen too much of him playing any role. Doesn't really comment too much on political scenarios in this country, does he, Sipho?
Well, he doesn't. It's true that he's almost kept his opinions to himself since he's left power. But his actions speak for themselves, I think. I think for him to be so deeply involved in South Sudan, shows someone who really still cares about the plight of the continent, and this is somebody that we could still use. Yes, I believe so. I mean, I don't know what plans the presidency, could have for him. But I look at people like Tony Blair, for example, and Bill Clinton. I mean, even after they left power, the government of the day still found a way to use them as, envoys or what have you. And sometimes they work for the United Nations. But my real big point with Thabo Mbeki is that we're a young country, and there are not very many opportunities to preserve institutional memories. And in the cases of presidents who got a lot of things right, let's try and keep that memory, and let's try and build on their successes.
Right, we'll get further opinions, maybe take 2-3 more calls. We'll sort of stop talking about this around 22. Then we go to Senegal as the country watch. And then after 3, we chat to Barbara Hirsch, the boss, the owner of Hirsch's Home Stores, putting her in the spotlight.
Afternoon Talk on SAFM.
Discussing the future of Thabo Mbeki, former president, and whether he has a role to play in this country, and if so, yes. Later on, we talk about Senegal, and then after that, Barbara Hirsch from Hirsch's Home Store in the spotlight. Zweletu saying Mbeki is needed indeed. His role in the African space is vital. I think our intra-Africa relations through him can be improved. And Bochoko saying, let's just see if I can get this right, Mbeki will return, and I think the government must use him as an advisor for shaping South Africa and the development of Africa. I'll read through some of the SMSs too. Japi saying, Ashraf, most of your programs are speculative by nature. Very few will take note where it matters. I don't think so. That the purpose, really, the big question is to throw something ahead so that you and I and everybody else can think about it, and you can't deny that you are thinking about it even as I talk to you. Edwin in George, let's get to you. Hi, Edwin. Hi.
But,
yes, Edwin.
He was very dignified.
Is that Edwin?
Encouraged his brother Moletsi as a potential leader. He speaks a lot of sense. He doesn't say everything that everybody wants to hear. And then after that, we had a bit of a poll round here. Dr. Amfela, then the public protector third. I think fourth was Zapiro, the cartoonist, and then fifth, sixth, and seventh, or joint fifth, you could say, Mario Ambrosini, Athol Trollip, and Bantu Holomisa. Number 9 after that came Jacob Zuma. They say he could be a praise dancer, a singer for the new parliament.
Okay, so your point then, because we missed some of the earlier part, I can't hear. What are you finally saying? Is there a place for him?
Mbeki first.
No, but we're talking of Thabo Mbeki. I mean, that's the discussion.
Yes, Thabo should encourage his brother. That's how he could come back.
Okay, Thabo
Put him in as state president.
All right, that's an interesting one. Thabo's role in helping South Africa is to encourage his brother. Somebody else, someone wants to get the thinker Moletsi Mbeki in. Another one saying, let's give Baleka Mbete a chance instead. Another one saying he can inspire, he can even lecture at Palama Public Administration. Very similar ones along that line. I won't read all of them. Right, Tulani in Orlando East. Hi.
Good day, how are you?
I'm very good. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, very, very well. Yes, my answer is simply yes. This is because of when Thabo Mbeki visited the country Mali in 2001. Mm-hmm. What he learned there from the what you call this Ahmed Baba Institute.
Yes.
This is what motivated him of the speech of the African Renaissance. And the man wasn't robbed of the knowledge there, and which our problems, the problems which we're experiencing here in Africa, particularly some of them here in South Africa. I think that President Thabo Mbeki, if he could have channeled whatever he learned there, we could have solutions to what we are experiencing now. So, and even for the media, they paid little attention to the visit which he did in 2001 there in the what you call this then Ahmed Baba Institute.
You agree? I don't think they paid little, because I remember being very impressed by what had happened there, and his role in particular in South Africa then in bringing those Timbuktu manuscripts back to this country.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that it is not being conveyed what's the word? It is not being conveyed properly, like to to the masses like down there. They don't know. I don't think even some of them know that they even, like some of our leaders had an opportunity. They went there, and what did they learn from it? What do they know from it now? Which is like they cannot even talk about it. We don't hear about them talking up. We don't hear them talking about what happened there. Like,
all right,
Tulani. So what he learned there. My point is, like, what he learned there for a leader in this country to go out. And after that, after going there, sending out the like officials to go investigate. So you can see that he was quick to react to that.
Okay, got that. Good to got that, Tulani.
So I think
Tulani, I'm going to leave it there.
He was
Tulani,
a good leader.
all right.
The man has ups and downs.
Tulani, you've made your point, Tulani. Thanks so much for that one there. Indeed, Tulani certainly has that. I'll probably take time for the last call or last two callers maximum on this issue. Interesting one. Joseph saying, what intellect? The intellectual that forgets that electricity infrastructure should be strengthened in order to cater for development, that neglects the plight of people being disintegrated by AIDS, the African that approves un-African laws, that fails to see the wisdom of debriefing the people from the damage the past regime has done to the black people for the past 400 years in order to enable them to take the opportunity availed by the new democracy. And he goes on. And then he says, no, he could hardly get Sudan out of the mess it found itself in. If it does, do you still think it will work? No. That's just an abbreviation of a very interesting email. You know, emails always welcome. Some of them I can read on the air, others I can't. If you wish to email me, ashraf@safm.co.za. Right, we are talking about former President Thabo Mbeki. Mbeki failed to solve the Zimbabwe debacle, an issue on his doorstep. Another saying, yes, consultative, and as an elder statesman, he has experience, plus every single person has a role, if only as an example to others. It comes from someone signed C in KZN. Right, the last two callers I can take on this issue. Sigyn Renberg, hi.
Hello, Ashraf. Thank you very much. I'm a great supporter of Moeletsi Mbeki, and I think he would make a wonderful president.
But we are talking about the other Mbeki.
Yes,
really.
And that's why I wanted to say that I'm not, as a matter of principle, opposed to Mbekis. But I'm severely opposed to Thabo Mbeki, who I believe must have been an immense embarrassment to his brother.
So you're saying what? There's no role for him?
One can always have advisors, even of the worst principles, and yes, in that context, if he were one of many advisors, but if he had to dictate the policy, which in fact the new head of African Unity, of the African Union Commission, Lamini Zuma, in fact, was the implementer of Thabo Mbeki's horrible policies, which was a total anti-Western thing as a matter of racist principles that go back to the era of slavery, which we should have forgotten by now. But I think he did some great things, Thabo Mbeki. His African Renaissance was a wonderful idea, and his NEPAD development principle, which was also accepted abroad in international diplomacy, was also a wonderful idea, especially with its peer review principle.
Okay.
Except that the peer review was never implemented, and that he betrayed his own.
Well, you see, that's the problem. Okay, we're not reflecting on his past. It's more a case of what can he offer, right? Sig, I'm going to leave it at that. We need to move on. Thanks so much for your contribution. There are many other SMSs and tweets and Facebook comments. I can't read them all, unfortunately. Probably do something similar along that line sometime in the future as well. I think the one interesting one someone's suggesting, but he already has a role, even in playing the diplomatic role on the African continent. Does he not, in fact, represent and play at the best of what South Africa has to offer? So you just think about that. Are you best served domestically by actually playing away, meaning on the foreign front, or do you need to be in your country? Your thoughts always welcome, even later on. ashraf@safm.co.za. I'll read after the shop.